Opening our top list is the Segway Myon. It's not just an e-bike, it's a high-tech gadget with electronic shifting and OTA updates. Let's roll the review. Imagine you are sitting at a massive intersection. The traffic is heavy, the exhaust fumes are sitting in the air, and the light is about to turn green. You need to clear this crossing fast, but you realize you forgot to downshift when you rolled to a stop. On a traditional mechanical bike, you would be grinding the gears and fighting the pedals. On the Segway Myon, you simply tap a digital button. The electronic actuator hums, the hub motor unleashes a wave of torque, and you are across the asphalt before the cars even start moving. Today, we are stripping the marketing away from the Segway Myon. This is an expensive piece of machinery from a massive tech company, and we need to find out if they built a genuinely great bicycle or just a heavy smart device on two wheels. Frame, geometry, and design. Walking up to the Myon, the design language is incredibly sleek and modern. It uses an aluminum alloy step-through frame, which makes jumping on and off in normal street clothes completely effortless. But the second you try to lift the rear wheel over a curb, you feel the absolute mass of this machine. While the exact weight is carefully hidden in the marketing materials, this bike easily feels north of 70 pounds. If you live in an apartment without an elevator, this is an immediate deal breaker. Once you are moving, however, that heavy weight translates into incredible stability. The geometry puts you in a highly upright position. You sit tall above the traffic, keeping your eyes on the horizon. The rear rack is cleanly integrated into the frame, but it is better suited for light pannier bags rather than heavy-duty cargo hauling. Drivetrain and shifting. The most polarizing feature of the Myon is the drivetrain. Segway abandoned traditional steel shifter cables. Instead, they use a standard cassette in the rear, driven by their own proprietary electronic shifting system. In daily use, it feels like magic. Steel cables stretch and get contaminated with road grime, but an electronic signal is perfect every single time. You press the handlebar button and the gear changes instantly. However, this is a massive trap for long-term ownership. You are entirely locked into the Segway digital ecosystem. If that shifting motor dies in a few years, a local bike mechanic cannot simply run a cheap steel cable to fix it. You are trading long-term mechanical survival for daily digital convenience. Braking and control. Stopping a machine this heavy requires serious hardware. Segway equipped the Myon with fully hydraulic disc brakes. When you pull the brake levers, the hydraulic fluid multiplies your finger strength, clamping the pads onto the steel rotors with massive force. This is not a luxury. It is a strict requirement for a bike of this weight. The hydraulic system means you get beautiful modulation. You can apply just a tiny bit of stopping power to scrub speed before a corner without accidentally locking up the wheels and skidding into the intersection. Thankfully, the brake pads and rotors use standard mounting, so your local shop can handle the routine maintenance here. Ride feel and comfort. Riding the Myon feels far closer to piloting a premium moped than pedaling a bicycle. Your main line of defense against the road is a basic front coil suspension fork. It is not designed for aggressive trail riding, but it handles deep city potholes and broken asphalt perfectly fine. Because the bike is so heavy, it stays planted on the road. Vibrations are smoothed out before they ever reach your hands, giving you a remarkably plush and insulated ride. Power delivery and battery. Power comes from a rear hub motor that behaves beautifully. Instead of a cheap cadence sensor that jerks you forward violently, Segway uses advanced torque sensing. The motor reads exactly how hard you are physically pressing on the pedals and multiplies that specific effort. The battery is a removable block in the down tube. I spend a massive amount of my time studying battery electrochemistry and pack longevity for these reviews, and while this pack uses modern cells and is fully water resistant, you still need to respect its limits. Pushing a bike this heavy at top speed will drain the watt-hours significantly faster than the official range claims suggest. Expect a realistic 30 to 40 miles of heavy urban riding before you need to find a wall outlet. A new e-bike is great, but a dead battery will cost you $900 to replace. I engineered the Battery Bible Pro Edition to stop that. Discover the peer-reviewed blueprint to double your battery's life and protect your investment. Scan the code or hit the link below. The competition. Real-world alternatives. If we look at the wider market, the Aventon Level 2 is the most direct threat. The Aventon wins easily on mechanical simplicity. It uses standard bicycle parts that any shop on Earth can fix, and it weighs significantly less. Where the Segway Myon wins is raw technological integration. The Aventon does not offer electronic shifting, integrated security alarms, or app-based diagnostics. You buy the Aventon for a proven bicycle experience. You buy the Segway for a high-tech vehicle experience. The bitter truth. Trade-offs and compromises. Now it is time for the bitter truth. I have praised the technology, but there are distinct daily frustrations with the Myon. First, the smart features can be genuinely overbearing. The bike has a built-in alarm that screams and automatically locks the wheels if someone tries to move it while parked. While this is fantastic for theft deterrence on the street, the alarm is extremely sensitive and loudly annoying when you are simply trying to shift the bike around your own crowded garage. Second, the built-in 2.4-inch color display offers turn-by-turn navigation routed through the Segway smartphone app. This sounds amazing on paper, but in practice, the Segway navigation routing often conflicts with the superior routing of Google Maps or dedicated cycling apps. You end up with an expensive screen on your handlebars, giving you directions you might not actually want to follow. Finally, we have to talk about the weight again. I cannot stress enough how much 73 pounds changes the way you interact with a bicycle. You cannot easily lift it onto a standard vehicle car rack. You cannot carry it up a flight of stairs. If the battery dies completely on a long ride, pedaling this massive tank of a bike purely under your own physical power is an exhausting, miserable experience. Final verdict? Buy or skip? You should buy the Segway Myon if you are a flat city commuter who loves early adoption. If you want seamless digital shifting, smart security, and a moped-like ride, it delivers a uniquely premium experience. You must skip this bike if you regularly deal with stairs, use a vehicle bike rack, or demand the ability to repair your own drivetrain with universal parts. It is a fascinating glimpse into the future of urban mobility, but it demands you play by its software rules. Next up is a true urban legend. The VanMoof S6 brings unmatched anti-theft tech and a beautifully integrated design. Here is how it rides.
Imagine it is Monday morning. You are at a red light in the middle of London or Amsterdam. Beside you is a delivery rider on a rattled moped and a guy on a carbon road bike wearing full spandex. The light turns green. You don't stand up. You don't sweat. You just press a small button on your right thumb and the VanMoof S6 catapults you ahead of everyone with a futuristic hum. This bike costs $3,298, and for that money, you weren't just buying a way to get to work, you were buying a piece of consumer electronics that happens to have wheels. But after the original company went bankrupt and left thousands of owners with smart bricks, the question isn't just, is it fast? It is, can I trust it? Frame, geometry, and design. The S6 looks like it was carved out of a single block of aluminum. The welds are sanded down until they're invisible, and every cable is hidden inside the frame. When you stand over it, the geometry feels classic Dutch, very upright. This is designed for visibility. You aren't hunched over like a racer, you're sitting tall, seeing over the roofs of cars. Because the frame is so stiff and the battery is buried deep in the down tube, the bike feels incredibly planted. At 25 kilometers per hour, it doesn't jitter or shake. It feels heavy, yes, 23.5 kilograms, but that weight gives it a train on tracks stability that is very reassuring for someone who hasn't ridden in years. However, there is no suspension in the fork. If you hit a pothole, you will feel it in your wrists. Drivetrain and shifting. VanMoof has finally moved away from the complex electronic shifters that broke constantly on the S3 model. The S6 uses an improved automatic shifting hub. It has 3 gears, and it decides when to shift based on your speed. In practice, this is magic for the casual rider. You don't have to think about gears, you just pedal. On flat ground, it is seamless. But here's the truth. On steep hills, the 3-speed limit shows. If you live in a very hilly city like San Francisco or Lisbon, you might find yourself wishing for a 4th or 5th gear. The shifting is mechanical now, which means even if the battery dies, the bike won't get stuck in the wrong gear like the old ones did. Braking and control. When you have a motor that pushes you this hard, you need serious stopping power. The S6 uses hydraulic disc brakes. Unlike the rim brakes on a cheap bike, these don't care if it's raining or if the rims are muddy. One finger on the lever is enough to bring this heavy machine to a dead stop. The control comes from the halo rings on the handlebars. There is no traditional screen. Instead, 2 glowing LEDs tell you your speed and battery level. It is minimalist and beautiful, but in direct, harsh sunlight, they can be a bit hard to read. It forces you to rely more on your feel for the bike, rather than staring at a speedometer. Ride feel and comfort. The sensation of riding an S6 is frictionless. The motor is in the front wheel, which pulls you along. It feels less like a bicycle and more like a gentle ski lift. The touch points, the grips, and the saddle are high quality, but the ride is firm. If you spend an extra $100 on the suspension seat post, the experience changes completely. It soaks up the vibrations from cobblestones. Without it, the S6 can feel a bit brutal on bad city roads because those high-pressure tires don't offer much cushion. Power delivery and battery. The motor provides 68 Newton-meters of torque. To put that in perspective, that is more torque than many high-end mountain bikes. The boost button is the star of the show. While the bike is limited to 25 kilometers per hour by law, the way you get to that speed is violent and fun. The battery is 487 watt-hours. VanMoof claims a range of up to 150 kilometers. Let's be honest, in a city, using the boost button at every light and riding in the highest power mode, you're looking at 60 to 70 kilometers. That's still plenty for a few days of commuting, but remember, you cannot take the battery out. You have to park the entire bike near a power outlet. The real-world alternatives. If you want the smart experience but need a removable battery, look at the Cowboy Cross. It feels more like a real bike and less like a gadget. If you want a bike that will last 20 years and can be fixed by any mechanic in any country, look at a specialized Turbo Vado. It isn't as sexy and it doesn't have a boost button, but it uses standard Bosch parts that are the gold standard for reliability. The bitter truth, trade-offs and compromises. The unfiltered truth about the S6 is that it's a walled garden. Everything from the kick lock, which locks the rear wheel with a literal kick, to the alarm system is proprietary. If a sensor fails, you can't just buy a part on Amazon. You're married to VanMoof's service network. Also, the weight. At over 23 kilograms, if the battery dies or the motor has an issue, this is a very heavy, very sluggish bike to pedal home. It's a masterpiece of design, but it is entirely dependent on its electronics. Final verdict, buy or skip. Buy this bike if you want the most stylish, effortless commuting experience available and you have a secure ground floor place to charge it. It's the ultimate point A to point B tool for people who hate traditional bike maintenance. Skip this bike if you live in a walk-up apartment, you live in a city without a VanMoof service center, or you want a bike that's easy to repair yourself. The VanMoof S6 is a triumph of engineering over the mistakes of the past, but it remains a high-tech gamble. It's a brilliant ride. Just make sure you have a plug nearby.
Closing this list is the Tenways AGO X. If you want smart features, but also need a rugged mid-drive motor for tough city streets, this is it. Let's check it out. Imagine taking a sleek, minimalist city bike, feeding it way too much protein, and throwing it into the woods. That is exactly what Tenways did with the AGO X. This is their take on the urban SUV e-bike. But before you pull out your credit card for that $2,500 price tag, there is one massive detail about how this bike actually rides that completely caught me off guard. I will get to that in a minute. First, let's talk about what happens when you actually try to lift this thing out of the box. First impressions. My very first thought when I stepped back to look at the AGO X was simply, wow, it looks incredibly premium. The welds are smoothed out, the paint is flawless, and the battery is completely hidden right inside the down tube. It looks like a bike that should cost a lot more. But then I tried to carry it up the 3 steps to my front porch. Let me be honest with you, this bike is exceptionally heavy. We are talking close to 29 kilograms when fully loaded with the rack and fenders. If you live in a 3rd-floor walk-up apartment, this is not the bike for you, period. But that weight is not entirely a bad thing once you're actually moving. Frame and geometry. When I swung my leg over the frame, I immediately noticed the riding position. It's surprisingly upright. You're not hunched over the handlebars like you would be on a traditional mountain bike. I was cruising down a pothole-filled street at 25 kilometers per hour, and I felt like I was commanding a small tank. The frame is rock solid. Because of that extra weight, it just plows right through rough patches instead of bouncing you around. But here's the catch. That tank-like stability means it's not exactly nimble. If you want to dart quickly through tight standstill traffic, you're gonna feel that bulk fighting you. Components. Now let's talk about the gears. Tenways usually uses smooth, quiet belt drives on their city bikes, so I was really surprised to see a traditional Shimano Dior 10-speed chain setup here. I took it up a nasty, steep gravel hill near my house, and let me tell you, I was grateful for those extra gears. Shifting is crisp and reliable under load, but you do lose that zero-maintenance, grease-free magic of a belt drive. It's a trade-off for better hill climbing ability. Brakes. To stop a 29-kilogram tank, you need serious brakes. Tenways gave us Shimano hydraulic disc brakes. Coming down that same steep gravel hill, I squeezed the levers hard right before a tight corner. The stopping power is definitely there, and they feel very predictable. But they are only 2-piston brakes. If you're a heavier rider, or if you're carrying a lot of cargo down a very long, steep descent, they might start to feel a little overwhelmed. For 90% of city riding, though, they're solid. Suspension. Quick reality check on the suspension. We have a Suntour coil fork up front. It completely takes the sting out of dropping off a curb or hitting a pothole. It makes the ride very comfortable, but it's basic. I hit a section of thick tree roots on a dirt trail, and the fork felt a bit clunky and maxed out. It's fantastic for ruined city streets, but please do not mistake this for a real, aggressive mountain bike fork. The e-bike experience. This is where things get really interesting. Remember earlier when I said there was one detail that completely changed my opinion of this heavy bike? It's the motor setup. Tenways put a Bothong mid-drive motor in this frame, pushing out 80 Newton-meters of torque. What does that actually mean on the road? I started pedaling from a dead stop at a traffic light, and the power delivery was incredibly smooth. Because it uses a torque sensor, the harder you push the pedals, the more the motor helps. The heavy weight of the bike completely disappears. It feels like you just woke up with superhero legs. But because it's a mid-drive motor, you can definitely hear it working. It has a noticeable whirring sound when you're really pushing up a hill. It's incredibly powerful, but it's not silent. As for the battery, we have a 504 watt-hour unit. The company claims up to 100 kilometers of range. Let's talk real world. I rode this bike in the highest assist mode, climbing hills and fighting a harsh headwind, and I got closer to 50 kilometers before needing a charge. If you stay in the lower assist levels on flat ground, you might see 70 or 80 kilometers. Real-world testing. I spent a week using the AGO X for everything. Commuting, getting groceries, and exploring some light forest trails. The massive 29-inch puncture-proof tires are fantastic. I rolled right over a patch of broken glass in the bike lane and didn't even stress about getting a flat. The overall comfort level is very high for a bike without rear suspension, mostly because of the massive volume of air in those big tires.
I didn't expect this, but the saddle gets pretty uncomfortable after about 45 minutes of continuous riding. It looks sporty, but your sit bones will definitely feel it. You might want to swap that out immediately. Value analysis. So, is it worth around $2,500? If you look at cheaper e-bikes, you usually get a rear hub motor with a cadence sensor. Those feel jerky, unnatural, and ghost pedal at high speeds. The mid-drive motor and premium torque sensor on the AGO X completely justify the price jump. But if you look at much more expensive options from legacy brands, you get better suspension and lighter frames. The AGO X sits in this really smart, highly competitive middle ground. You get premium power delivery without the premium brand tax. Competition. If you're looking at the AGO X, you're probably also looking at something like the Velotric Discover or maybe an Aventon Adventure. If you want a throttle so you don't have to pedal at all when you're tired, go with the Aventon. The AGO X doesn't have a throttle. You have to put in the work. But if you want a bike that actually feels like a real bicycle, just with bionic legs, the Tenways absolutely wins because of that sophisticated mid-drive motor. Honest assessment. Let's lay it all out. No sugarcoating. What does it do well? It looks fantastic. The motor integration is absolutely seamless. The power delivery feels incredibly premium, and it comes with everything you need right out of the box. The rear rack, heavy-duty fenders, and bright integrated lights are all included. Where does it fall short? It's massively heavy to lift. The suspension fork is very entry-level, and the lack of a carbon belt drive might disappoint longtime fans of the Tenways brand. Who it's for? This bike is for the daily commuter who has a ground-level garage. It's for the rider who wants to get to work in extreme comfort, carry a heavy backpack or groceries without sweating, and maybe take a scenic dirt path on the weekends. Don't buy this if you have to carry it upstairs every single day. And don't buy this if you want to go doing jumps on real mountain bike trails. It's a luxury SUV, not a dirt bike. Final verdict? My final verdict is yes, the Tenways AGO X is a buy, as long as you understand exactly what it is. It's a heavy-duty, premium-feeling urban cruiser that can handle terrible roads with absolute ease. The motor alone makes it a joy to ride, completely masking the heavy weight of the frame. Now I want to hear from you. Would you trade the famous maintenance-free belt drive for the extra power and gears of the AGO X? Let me know down in the comments below. If this review helped you make a decision, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next ride.